do you feel that the people who are switching their genders that are black, are they ready for the responsibilities that come with being a black man moving forward? Moving back to the Morehouse thing, are they ready for the responsibilities of being a black male in our society today? Welcome back, family, to the process. Yes, we are on the process. We have a special guest. She's not even, no, but she's still special, but she's not really a guest anymore. But she is a guest because she's back. Stacy's back.
Hi guys.
And she is back to discuss a issue that we want to discuss. So we wanted to bring a female perspective in it. Because we never want to always think, you all to think that it's always our opinion. So we bring in different people to address certain issues. We have an issue at hand, and we're going to bring it up. If you're looking in the description, you already know what we're getting ready to talk about. But first, as a disclaimer, I want to say this. We are not racist.
Zero racist.
We are not sexist. And we are not homophobic.
Do you?
Please
do you.
Do you. But this is the topic of discussion, and I believe that it's a great topic to talk about. Just to, to get some juices going, to get some comments going. So please comment.
Please like
and subscribe to this channel as we continue on with these discussions. So, the discussion at hand. They know it, but you don't. The discussion at hand is Morehouse, HBCU, and today I wanted to wear my HBCU just because of that. HBCUs, I have a passion for them.
Explain it. Some people might not know what.
Oh, historical black college and universities. But the one we're talking about today is Morehouse, the first and the only HBCU for men that is in our country. There's no other school that is only for black men to go to, or anybody that's a man.
Right.
I'm certain there are all male colleges for.
Yeah. But the only HBCU that is a male college.
Yeah.
So let's get into this.
Solely for Negroes.
So there's an issue at Morehouse. I ain't even gonna call it an issue because it ain't an issue because they figured it out. But I got questions.
Okay.
So let's discuss it. They are now allowing those who are legally identified as men, not being born men, into their institution.
Okay.
So Stacey, I know you got a little bit to say about it.
Transgender.
Transgender, exactly.
Transgender.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. I think that I understand the questions around it in terms of individuals who are not fully transitioned and how that can cause issues about sexual harassment or confusion and whatnot. But I think that if somebody has gone through the process of having their genitalia reorganized and the therapy that comes along with that and identifies as a man, then they should be in an institution that upholds those values and learn firsthand and have an experience that lets them embrace their identity to the fullest. And I think that I believe that way because a lot of the issues that you hear people who attend HBUs criticize the most is the very heteronormative stereotype that you just have to be like super pro-black, straight down for the people, whole tippity-tap black people to attend HBCUs, and really there is so much diversity in the culture, and that does need to be represented in the faculty and staff and the student body and in the student organizations. Like trans men and trans women deserve to have experiences that support their identities. That being said, I do personally believe that there are intrinsic differences between women who transition to men and men who transition to women that you don't get the idea or the full grasp of that identity holistically, because there are some points of privilege that you either miss or engage in as a youth that do truly form one's identity. And now your experience is very different than my experience as a woman. If you happen to be a trans woman, or if you are a woman that transitioned into being a man, you have a different experience of girlhood than I do. That being said, as an adult, you do need the tools, or as a young adult, as a formulating adult, you do need the tools to be able to cement your identity, help you reevaluate your morals and beliefs, and to help you become a strong-minded individual who's intellectually and emotionally sound.
Question.
Okay?
So, from reading the article that I read, you don't have to have the surgery to be legally identified to go to Morehouse.
See, like, that's the thing.
That's an issue. To me.
I think that y'all gonna be mad at me, but gay niggas go to Morehouse, like,
I understand
and like, it's not like, I think that what that causes is this idea of confusion in non-sexually sound individuals, whereas you can't help, like, you have this Kodak Black mindset that just because something has a vagina, you have the right to stick yourself inside it, or you are not wanting to have somebody to be in a situation where somebody doesn't disclose their sexual gender or their gender before a sexual activity, and you be caught off guard and now have to question your sexuality because you like somebody and they turned out to have different sexual parts than what you thought that they did. And so I think for me personally, like, I don't go there, I'm not a man. I think that post-operative might be a better choice, but if they're giving those who legally have changed their identity to man that experience and potentially can't afford it or don't have the means to get the surgery yet, that's a whole nother thing. But at the same time, like, that, the issue that comes is when you have to be in close quarters. Like, how do you protect these individuals in community showers? How do you
You can't.
How do you
That's
protect
my-
these
you can't.
individuals?
That's my thing.
Like, that's the part where it becomes more difficult.
And
Yes.
I got another question. I mean, I got many questions, but let's say we know that genetics take effect within those 4 years.
What do you mean by that?
Genetics, meaning women, because we're not talking about men, so let's put that out, let's throw that away. We're talking about women developing within a 4-year course in Morehouse.
No.
That are identified.
I think that you said that wrong. So technically, in order to legally be considered transgender, you have to be taking the steps to get an operation. For most people, that process can take 4 to 12 years, depending on the funds that they have, the therapy. Like, they have to show that they've been living as this gender for a certain number of time, for a certain period of time. Like, they are more than likely on hormones and hormone supplements in order to change the way that their body grows and develops, which is why you do see an epidemic of trans teens living on the streets or getting addicted to drugs or having really bad sexual experiences because they're in desperate need of money to get the hormones and things that they need so that their outsides match their insides. I think that in terms of biological development, in terms of, you know, your hips get bigger, your breasts get bigger, you get taller, whatever, as a woman throughout these 4 years in college, like, they take medication to stunt that growth. But at the same time, one of the more important things that any college or university should teach any student is autonomy and respect for others. Like,
True. We are dealing with 18-year-old boys.
I mean, but that's not an excuse. I'm sorry.
It's
like,
not an excuse, but
I mean, like, that's not an excuse. Like, that, I don't care. I don't care.
But adults,
They're still learning.
I mean, you can still learn and have a solid set of morals and values. Like, the excuse you dealing with 18-year-old boys, that's not an excuse. Like,
it's not an excuse, but it's a mentality.
Well, it's not. Like, it's not. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's an excuse. Like, an 18-year-old boy don't get away. Like, if I say no, like we're taught from a very young age, no means no. If I tell you, well, I'm saying like in terms of being an 18-year-old boy, you know better. You know better. Like you can't tell me at 18 you didn't know better. Now how you perceive that, or what your internalization or rationalization was for that, or how you chose to express those things might not be as mature as they are now, but you know how to respect people, you know how not to touch people, you know how to keep your hands to yourself. Like you don't have to be this trans person's friend, but you also don't have to be the person that bullies them. Like they know better. That's not an excuse.
It's definitely not an excuse, but
that you're dealing with 18-year-old boys. But I mean, like if it happens, then I honestly think that the 18-year-old boys who take it upon themselves to harm or disrespect another person just because they don't like how they live should be the people that are punished, not the people who are living their daily lives.
So let me ask this question now. Hey, if that's what they want to do, that's the thing. My thing is, what about the other side of it, where okay, you're forcing your lifestyle on me? I'm
not forcing my lifestyle on you. You don't have to.
You're forcing me to accept it.
You don't have to know what's in my pants.
No, true. No, I mean, you don't. No,
but that's the thing. You don't have to know what's in my pants.
This is true.
And so, if we could sit in class together for 4 years and you could never know what's in my pants, you don't have to. If I choose to disclose that to you, if I choose to invite you into my community, it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to be a part of it. But you don't have to know. Like, I know lots of trans individuals, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference in these people unless they told you. Like, you wouldn't be able to discern them from a genetically born man unless they told you their preferred pronouns. And so you don't have to know what's in somebody else's hands. But I do believe that it is more important that we do teach our kids in general that people are people. Like, I don't have to agree with what you do, but that doesn't make what you do wrong. Like, we all sin in different kinds of ways. So, like, who am I to judge a homosexual person or a transgender person for their sin when I commit adultery quite often? Or not adultery. What's the word? Fornication. Yes.
Adultery. Whoa.
Fornication.
Chopping that joke.
Yes, but when I fornicate often, like, who am I?
No, I got you.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing that we all need to understand. Any Morehouse man that crosses the yard into Spelman and has sex with the woman at Spelman before they're married has no right to judge any person who's living their truth in their body and their identity, unless this person tries to sexually harass you, which statistically proven transgender people do not commit nowhere near as many sexual assaults or harassments as heterosexual white men. Like,
is that truth or choice?
That's truth. Like, I'm sorry.
I got another question.
They don't. Yes, sir.
Question. So, being transgender, meaning that the individual feels like they want to be the opposite. They want to be the opposite.
Well, I don't think it's a want. Like, the thing that we have to understand about, like, development of fetuses is that, like, all fetuses are female. Like, we all are born with all the same amount of genetic DNA.
Right.
And then chromosomes split and all that other stuff happens after 16 weeks. Either your testicles fall in or they stay up and they become ovaries.
Right.
And in the time of formation, coffee, sugar, stress, all that messes with the hormones and your chromosomes. So, like, people can be born, like, and the thing about gender is very, like, it's very social. Like, we're socialized into gender. Like, sex is very different than gender. We are socialized into gender. Like, that's why you have all these dumbass gender reveal cakes. Cut the cake. If it's pink, it's a girl. If it's blue, it's a boy. Like, nah, bro. Like, there's nothing in biology or anything that says that boys have to wear blue and girls have to wear pink.
True.
Like, nothing at all.
True.
So the way that the way that gender is socialized is the thing that becomes confusing for kids at a young age. And so when they're socialized, they tend to be more attracted to things that they're told are for the opposite gender. Like, when I was growing up, I played with everything. Like, I used to have tools. I used to play in the dirt. Like, I was a very inquisitive child. I used to build stuff. And I did it all in dresses. And then I would play with my Barbies and make them all into classrooms, and I was going to be a business person. Like, I played how I wanted to play, and I do think that one is very important, so that kids do not become confused about like gender identity. But when it comes to that confusion in terms of how does one become transgendered and not just gay, or not just choose to be a more effeminate or more masculine version of a heterosexual or gender in that person, is it comes into play when this person chemically, all their chemical receptors are responding in a female form, but their genitalia don't match that. And people say God doesn't make mistakes, and I honestly believe that God doesn't make mistakes. I think that people do. And so while you're gestating, or while people are growing up, different things, hormones, whatever, in their environment have an effect on who they are, who they become. And so, like, God didn't make a mistake. If God wanted this person to be a girl, that's why this person has the strong belief that they're a man or a woman. That's why they're going through the steps in the therapy to live their life in a way that feels true to who they are intrinsically. Like that, like I think of it in terms of, you have fat people who are obese, who get plastic surgery, who change the way that their body looks because they're not happy with it. Like the issue that people have with people changing their sex is that I now can become violated because I didn't sign up for this, or it makes me uncomfortable because it's outside of what I know, when really a gender changing operation looks more natural on most people than Kim Kardashian's butt. And we don't question that. Like, we are here for fake asses and fake titties and people getting their bodies done for like aesthetic purposes, but we have an issue with it when it comes to people identifying their true selves. Like, how are we fine with recreational
true selves based off
surgery?
Based off them thinking that. Okay, question. So if one has become a man, transitioned into a man, but they were born a woman, quote unquote, and they date a man, is that a homo or hetero?
I mean, what if somebody was born a woman, transitioned into a man, and then dates another man? Is that a homosexual relationship or is it a heterosexual relationship? That's
tricky.
That's not tricky. Has the person transitioned, like they've had an operation?
So it's based off the transition.
Yeah. If they had the operation, then it's a homosexual relationship. If they haven't had the relationship, then it's a queer relationship. And queer just means not traditional, not what you see day to day. And there are lots of queer people who are gender non-binary or gender non-transforming, or conforming. There are people who live their lives all on a spectrum. And I think that we get so used to this idea that either you're straight or you're gay, that we don't realize that there's so much stuff in between. Like, there's this thing called the Kinsey scale when you talk about sexual orientation, and Kinsey did all these experiments in the 50s and 60s to determine on a scale from 0 to 6 if somebody was 0, which was hardcore straight, I don't want none of this, don't touch nothing, I don't want no man, no woman looking at me, to a Kinsey 6, which was whole ass gay, throw a dick in my face, we all here. And so in the middle, he found that people can have attractions to the opposite sex or the same sex and not have any sexual feelings for them. They can have sexual feelings toward the same sex, but only romantic feelings toward the opposite sex. Or they can have romantic and sexual feelings for both. And so throughout this, what he found is that very few people are either on one end or another of the spectrum. Most people are somewhere in the middle. Most people feel like I can acknowledge that another man is attractive and not want to have sex with them. I can acknowledge that I like women and men. I can acknowledge whatever. Most people felt like that. And in even in Africa, the most meaningful relationships that people have in terms of romance or family or anything are with people of the same sex. That doesn't mean that these are sexual relationships, but the most intimate relationships that men have in certain countries in Africa are with other men. Like, they share all their secrets, they grow up together, they do everything together, like they hold hands, they kiss on the mouth, and it has nothing to do with sexuality and everything to do with connection and intimacy. And then when it comes to having sex, they have sex with women. And so in America, we have let like Victorianism and Catholicism and white people change how we view how we're supposed to have interactions with each other. And I think that that is another thing that can bring down the quality of education, even at HBCUs or in tight-knit black communities, is that people feel like they, especially black men, cannot have strong relationships with other black men without it being gay. Like, before you hug another person, like another man, people feel like they gotta say no homo, or you gotta get like a dap hug. Like, how many times have you really hugged one of your male friends even if you needed it? Like, those are things that become important in understanding who you are, but you feel like you can't do it because for some reason you identify these things with sexuality and not intimacy. And so I think that that's a thing that's important to realize too. But in terms of your original question, if I have a penis and you have a penis and we engage in sex, then that is a homosexual activity. Like, and that's not like a way around it. So I think that that's the thing that you have to look at.
It's based off the transformation.
It's like, sex is all about where you put what hole you put stuff in. Like, that.
It can be a relationship without sex.
I mean, it can be, but like, if it's a relationship, then it's a relationship. You asked me specifically, like my relationship with you. We are a man and a woman. We are not in a heterosexual relationship. We're in a platonic friendship. Right. And so, like, regardless of what the, like, sex is what determines if something's homosexual or heterosexual. Like, I was asked this question a couple days ago on Twitter, like, do I think that people are born gay? And I don't think that people are born gay, because I don't think that children have sexual intent. So, like, I think that people are born attracted to certain things, but until you engage in a sexual act, it has nothing to do with your sexuality. And so I think that that's the thing that it confuses a lot of people too. And I think that that's a problem for me, because I think that kids are sexualized too early. Like, you have a problem if a 4-year-old shows signs of a more feminine attraction, or like more feminine things. Like, you have a problem if your 4-year-old son does that. Like, Kevin Hart tweeted that he would bust his son over the head with a dollhouse if he told him he was gay, right? You have a problem with that, but you have no problem being like, oh, he gonna get all the ladies, he gonna break all the hearts, he gonna be a player. Why is that? Like, is it better for you to have a son that's a womanizer and abuses and disrespects and mistreats women because, like, he's a player and a playboy? Or is it better for you to have a son who understands how to love and have a communication and be stronger?
That's some masculine ego.
I mean, that is a masculine ego, but like, which is better? Like, which idea do you praise? And not saying that all homosexual men are in committed and stable relationships, but like, what's the issue? Like, if you, like, my cousin, she got a lot of backlash when her first son was born, because she used to buy him dolls. And everyone's like, well, why would you buy him dolls? Like, why do you want him to play with dolls? And she was like, because I want him to learn love and compassion. Like, I want him to learn love and compassion. So up until the time that he was 6, he had baby dolls, like actual baby dolls.
Female baby dolls.
Female, male, like, he had baby dolls. He didn't have Barbies, he had like baby dolls. And he learned how to hold a baby, he learned how to hug a baby, he learned how to feed a baby. When his sister was born, he knew how to be gentle with her, he knew how to play with her, he knew how to love her. He's 13 now, like, he helps her with all her other children. Like, you can see him at family gatherings holding his youngest sibling, like, on his lap, playing on his phone, entertaining his kid. And I do strongly attribute that to the fact that when he was younger, she took the time to teach her son how to be compassionate. Like, he didn't only have dolls, but she didn't tell him, no, you can't play with that, you gotta play with trucks, you gotta play with guns. She introduced that to him and then taught him what it was for. And so he knew when he went to bed at night, he would kiss his baby goodnight, and it would be that. Like, he would go to sleep with one baby doll in one truck. And this little boy, like he's a looker, he's a playboy, like he's attracted to women, like, he's dope. Like,
that's kind of common, because I can remember growing up, I had the trucks, I had the little He-Man, but then I did have like a softer male. It was a male doll. It wasn't a doll with female hair, like, you know what I'm saying, like that type of doll. But it was, I guess it would be in the doll category.
Like My Buddy or something?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Like, and then we had the like My Buddy thing.
Yeah.
Like a Chucky?
It was, and that is almost like a Chucky. That is almost like a
call
Chucky.
My Buddy though.
I forgot the little bear we used to have too.
Teddy Ruxpin.
Teddy Ruxpin. I used to have one of those, so I understand that aspect of it. Because I mean, I believe that you should buy, you know, girls one thing and boys another in the category. It can still be a doll, but it got to be I wouldn't buy my son a girl doll.
Why?
Why would I buy him a girl doll?
Why wouldn't you?
Because I just wouldn't do it, because I would feel like that's not what he would want.
But what if it is what he wants?
But let me ask you this.
How would he express that?
Dad,
The role of the parent is to do what with the child?
Train him up.
Train them up. Yes, I would agree with that.
Now, I'm gonna ask you, train them up how? Now, I know it's different for everybody, but I'm just saying.
According to the Bible, it's in the way that he should go. But in real life, I think that you have to train your kids to be good people. Like, I had my best friend and her husband. They have 3 sons, and they just had their first daughter. And the dad is like super excited about like having tea parties, and the mom wants to watch princess movies. And she was like, I didn't get to watch them with my sons. Like, I couldn't let them watch princess movies. And then one of her sons, her middle son, was like, oh, I want to watch movies with her too. Like, and I was like, no, you don't need to be watching this princess stuff. And I was like, why? Like, why can't they watch a movie? And they're like, and then he asked me the question, like, well, they live in Charlotte. They just had like this whole bathroom bill situation. So he asked me like, yo, so like, how do I explain transgender people to my kids? I was like, that they're people who are living their identity. And he was like, what? I was like, well, why do you need to explain it? Like, do you explain regular men and regular women to your kids? Like, it's not like they're not monsters. Trans people are not monsters.
True. Right.
And
They're
like, well, would you be mad if your son told you he was gay? I was like, I wouldn't be mad if I had a son and my son told me he was gay. I would be mad if I had a son and that son grew up to be a man that I didn't raise him to be. If the person that I give birth to happens to identify as gay, my question to them is legitimately, do you still believe the things I taught you while you were growing up? And that's to be a good person.
So do you believe in babies then?
What's a baby?
You never heard of the baby?
Oh, when people don't gender their children?
Yes.
I think that's stupid. But I also...
Well, what's the difference?
I think that...
Well, what's the difference?
I think that I'm going to teach my son and my daughter how to cook. I'm going to teach my son and my daughter how to do lawn work, even though I personally don't believe it's for me. It's not my ministry. But I'm going to teach my son and my daughter to do it. I'm going to let my son and my daughter build things. I'm going to let them both have child experiences. Am I going to buy my daughter the pink tool set? If her favorite color is pink, yes. But if she don't got no favorite color, I'm gonna buy her the one that's the least expensive. Am I going to buy my son a kitchen set? Hell yes. Because chefs make a lot of money and you're not about to be out here impressed by no basic ass spaghetti.
Yeah, like, survival. Yeah.
But like, it's not survival. Like, the thing is, kids learn through play. And so in terms of exposure, you have to, like, it's my opinion, you have to expose kids to as much as possible. I don't believe in babies. I think that's stupid because, first off, kids' brains aren't mature enough to have that much choice. Either you have the genitalia of a boy, you have the genitalia of a girl. I'm going to tell you that. But at the same time, I'm not going to let that limit your exposure to how you play or what movies you watch, what toys you can have. Like, that's stupid. Like, because back in the day, kids just used to play with blocks and sticks. Like, now, if it got a dress on, it's a Barbie. Boys can't play with Barbies. Why not? Most of the most successful fashion designers and fashion houses are started by men. All men used to wear dresses.
Yeah,
like,
all men used to wear makeup because they were kings. I get that.
But that's the thing. Like, we get so far away from it that we start thinking that this one thing means this other thing, and it actually doesn't. So what's the point? Like, what's the point of not letting your kids play with Barbie dolls? Like, if your son start rubbing on the Barbie doll's boobs and making sexual comments, then that's when you have a talk with them, and they probably shouldn't play with Barbie dolls no more. But If your kid is sitting down playing with his sister and his sister is playing Barbies, then why your kid can't play Barbies with his sister? Like, why he gotta run his fire truck through her Barbie house? Why they can't play together? Like, that's the thing. Like, it doesn't have to be this whole separation. And I think that if you allow kids to play with other things, with other kids, and not say, oh, boys do this and girls do this, in terms of communication, when they get older, they learn how to communicate better. They don't feel like they gotta pull a little girl's hair to show her that they're interested in her. Like, they don't feel like, oh, girls are supposed to do this and boys are supposed to do that. Like, they learn mutual respect and that girls are people too.
So you don't believe in boundaries?
I didn't say that.
No, that's what I'm asking.
I think that everything has its limits. I think that boundaries in any relationship or any situation are important, but I don't think that the boundaries have to be drawn at colors. I don't think that the boundaries have to be drawn at kids' toys. Like, I've never, like, I had, like, in my family, was babysitting my nieces and nephews. My nephews, I have 3 boy nephews, and they're all like 3 and under. And I have a little cousin, he's 3 and under. But the majority of my family is girls. And so where we were at my aunt's house, we were having brunch. The girls had toys. The boys wanted to play. The boys wanted to play. And my aunt snatched the dial out of one of the little boys' hands and said, you can't play with this. This is only for girls. Well, what is he supposed to play with? It's a toy. Like, it's not like it's not like he's sitting there trying to put a dress on. Like, it's a toy. He is playing with a toy. Why can he not play with a toy? And everybody under the age of 30 was like, girl, chill out. Like, it's a toy. Like, unless you're gonna go buy him a fire truck, then he gonna play with whatever is here. Like, chill out. Like, he done turned this Barbie into a superhero and is talking about how it's about to fly around and save the world. Like, he is not up here playing house and talking about being pregnant because he don't know what that means. He just want to play. It's a thing here that's to be played with. Why can't he play with it? And that's the thing that I disagree with in terms of gendering children. Like, it ain't that deep. Like, play with what you're gonna play with. Like, would you stop your daughters if your daughter told you that she wanted to work in construction? You wouldn't. I wouldn't, no. You would support her because what you would understand as an adult is, 1, she would be considered a minority business owner. 2, she would be a double minority business owner for being a black and a woman in a field that's mostly male dominated. And she could turn that into a whole company by having a different eye for design than men do traditionally. True. So you're not going to stop her. But in that same vein, would you stop your son from wanting to learn how to sew if he told you he wanted to be a fashion designer? No.
Like you said, that's a whole other business.
Exactly.
I got a question, y'all. I got a question. And this is for both of you all. Both of y'all can answer. So, me and John are men.
Yes.
So, and we're black men today, right?
And we're all ass black men.
It's accurate. It's not coming off.
So, my thing is, do you feel that the people who are switching their genders that are black, are they ready for the responsibilities that come with being a black man moving forward? Moving back to the Morehouse thing, are they ready for the responsibilities of being a black male in our society today?
Are 18-year-old boys ready for the responsibilities that come with being a male in our society in this day and age?
They're growing into that.
Well, then why can't the transgendered individuals grow into that too?
So you think that they will? You don't think they will back out of that?
I think that if somebody,
it's just the fan.
I mean, like,
I'm talking when it's just the fan.
I mean, what?
But then he's being cheesy.
I mean, listen. I think that murder rates among black trans women are the highest out of any other population in the country, and I think that people who choose to live their life transitioning until they get that operation understand the danger that they are putting their physical person in.
Also.
They do. They have to. Like, even if you're a trans woman, like, men will still rape you. Like if you're a trans man, men will still rape you to show you that you are not like them. They will rape you to say that I have this power over you. They will force you into situations you don't want to be in. Like, men are trash, like, legitimately.
Not all.
Like, generally speaking, men are trash. Like, they're not all men, but men are trash. So they understand the physical dangers that they are putting their physical person in. Yes. because nothing is greasy. Like, even if you want to put it that way, if you're a pre-operative transitioning man, you still understand the privilege. I'll call it a privilege. The privilege of girlhood, which means that your person is not safe in the presence of any male.
I mean,
Like you grow up understanding that. Like, before somebody will tell a pedophile they're not invited to a family function, they'll just tell the children not to sit on that nigga lap. Like, you grow up at a young age understanding how to guard your person. Like, that is the number one thing. Like, girls don't get told to be comfortable. They get told to cross their legs. They don't get told to run around and play. They get told you have a dress on, you got to sit like a lady. Like, girls don't get that freedom over their bodies. And we learn that as girls at a very young age. We learn shame. We learn to be in control of ourselves and our person. We learn not to trust men. Like, even our own fathers will tell us, you don't trust men. You don't wear your t-shirt or your pajamas around your uncles or whatever else. Like, you get told that at an early age. So,
but is that a bad thing?
Yes.
Why is that a bad? That's your dad protecting you, though. Right?
I mean, it's a bad thing because I am a child. I should not be responsible for the sexual proclivities of grown-ass men.
True.
And if grown men can't control themselves, like, honestly, little girls should be allowed to be comfortable in their houses. Like, I should be allowed to be comfortable in my house.
I agree.
If a grown man comes over and I have to change how I behave in my house, instead of my parents having a conversation with this grown ass man about how you interact with children, that's when that becomes a problem. So what I'm saying is that
I can see that.
girlhood teaches you how to be on guard with your person at all times. And so, in terms of that, they're more prepared than most men are. Because men get raped at Morehouse too. Men get raped in the Army, men get raped in the Navy.
It don't even matter. John, your answer to the question was for both of you.
I'm sorry, what's the question again? Because I had about 20 million thoughts since then, man. My bad.
The question was,
I was listening to the station, man. I'm sorry.
The ones who are going through the process of the transgender process, right? Are they ready for the responsibilities of being an African American man and what we go through in this country?
Me personally, I don't think they fully grasp and understand what they're getting themselves into. Because if they really, and let me say this, I'm not knocking that black women don't go through anything, because they have their own set of, they go through have their own set of issues and dealing with sexism, not only with black men but especially white men, and they go through the whole gambit. But being a man is hard.
It is hard.
Then being a black man is even harder.
Harder than diamonds.
And to purposely change your gender to a man, it's already hard being a man. Then you change it. Then you black on top of that. To me, that's insane, because you've seen what black men go through.
Could you imagine wanting something that bad though?
I understand it.
Could you imagine believing something that bad? And one of the things that is happening in order for people to transition, they do have to do intense therapy. They have to, like...
What kind of therapy?
They have to do group therapy, they do individual therapy, they do therapy around...
To do what though? Therapy for what?
To understand the concept of
the process they're getting ready to.
Thank you.
They're getting ready to go into. So let me ask you this. Let me skip to, because I got two more questions. So let me do this. So do you think that person would have to already start their process in high school to get into Morehouse? I
mean, but that's the thing. Like, in order to legally transition without your parents' permission, you can't do it until you're 18 anyway.
Right.
So like,
you can do it at 18, but you can't drink it.
But like, 21. Yeah. But like, at the same time, like, you have to have lived in that gender for 5 years in most states in order to legally transition. Like, you have to show proof that you have lived in this gender in order to legally, like, you can't just wait. Like, nobody wakes up in the morning and it's like, you know what? I've been living as a man for 57 years. It's time to cut off my penis. I want to become a woman. Like, nobody does that. Like, no, not even Caitlyn Jenner. Like,
are you sure?
I'm positive. Like, they're like, she used to cross dress for years. Like, she went through plastic surgery after plastic surgery.
You talking about Bruce Jenner?
Caitlyn Jenner.
Bruce.
But it's a rumor that he want to be a man again. But I understand. But I'm
But like, people don't, like, normal people don't just wake up in the morning like, hey, you know what? Let me become a double minority. This feels like a good thing to do. You know what? I'm tired of this lifestyle. I've always liked dresses. Let me try it out. Like, nobody makes a permanent change in their life if they don't truly believe that this is how they're supposed to be living. Because it's expensive, it's time consuming, it's mentally damaging. And so in that aspect, like, when I was 18, I didn't even know I was a woman. Like, to be completely honest with y'all, like, I was black as fuck. I wanted to be black. All I cared about was being black. I was down for the people. I was in BSA. I was in African Youth League. Like, I was black. And one day, no, I really was. And one day, one of my advisors looked at me and she said, okay, but do you know you're a woman? I said, well, what? She said, you're a woman. And I said, damn. And she was like, what? I was like, I'm sorry. Nobody's ever said that to me, but that was really my response. And I remember that day. Like, I got up the next morning and I was 18. I enrolled in a women's studies class because I grew up around black women my entire life. And so it never occurred to me that I was having experiences that were uniquely female. And it never occurred to me that I was having experiences that were uniquely black female. Like, I was categorizing my experiences under the lens of being black. And being female was just a part of whatever it was. When I started to learn, like, truly learn what it meant to be a woman, shit stood out to me even more. Like, I was in, like, a college council meeting, and a white girl was like, well, the only time I realize I'm a woman is when I have to go to a different bathroom. And I was like, get out. Get out. Bye. Like, no. Because, like, that's the thing about, like, intersectionality and, like, having multiple identities. Like, my black experience is very different from my woman experience. My woman experience is very different from my black woman experience. My black woman experience is very different from my black experience. And how do you layer those identities into one that's gonna be holistically who you are? And, like, I have to be honest with myself about that level of development, because you just did what you had to do when I was growing up. Like, it did never occur to me that there are certain things that I am not allowed to do because I am a woman. Because I was going to do whatever I wanted to do anyway. When I started learning about the struggles that came along with womanhood, like, I don't personally identify as a feminist. Like, I'm a womanist 100% because I understand, for me and my beliefs and how my life works, that feminism does not allow room for the cultural responsibilities of women of color. And so, and how that becomes important to how we see ourselves. And so, like, identity development is something that is consistently happening as you go through life and as you go through adulthood. Like, I would argue that for most men, they don't understand manhood, some of them, until they become a father. Some men don't understand manhood, like, they come across it in other terms and other aspects of what it means. Like, a lot of us is just boys and girls running around here pretending to be adults, and we aren't fully formed in our identities of what it means to be a man or a woman, but we are male and female because of our genitalia. And so when you have the opportunity to go to a place like Morehouse or Spelman or be involved in male leadership programs or sorority or fraternity, it really changes your ideas of what it means to bond with other individuals from a historical perspective, how you formulate your ideas of manhood and womanhood, and it makes you a better person. Like, some people experience that through life, some people experience that through college, some people experience it through different methods, but the point is we all have to get there. And what I would want specifically for somebody who is transitioning into the identity of an African American male is to have an experience that is holistic and allows them to explore that identity fully, so they don't get caught out being stupid.
All right. One last question. My questions are over. I got more, but we ain't got that much time. So, this is all about legally identifying yourself as something, right?
Yes.
Legally, so I had to call a few of my law enforcements and ask them some questions.
Okay.
And it proposed this question. So I asked him, I said, so when you legally identify yourself as a criminal that I went to if you run the numbers, white and black, that I Hispanic, Chinese, whatever, it's like, well, Joe, you got to understand that legally identifying yourself has nothing to do with your skin color. I said, okay, explain to me more. He said, you can legally identify yourself as a Caucasian man. He said, it's records of black men who are legally identified as Caucasian men, but they're not Caucasian by birth. So I said, okay, I got a question for the show. So if you legally identify yourself as a man, as a Caucasian male, me and John, not the
privilege! Instant privilege! Our credit score just went up.
But then let's do this though. And that's what I'm saying. So do you, because I would never do that, because I'm proud of who I am. Mm-hmm. I'm very proud of my gender. I'm very proud. I've accepted all of this and I feel like I'm a man.
Yeah.
And I'm a black man and I love it. Mm-hmm. But if I was to identify myself as a white Caucasian man when I walk into a store, and if I had any documents that said that should I receive those privileges as that Caucasian man, and will I receive those privileges as a white Caucasian man, being in the color skin that I'm in?
In person, you won't. Like, and here's the thing. Black people have been legally identified as full human beings since the 1950s.
Finally.
Right.
Before that, we were legally 3/5 of people, you know? And so when we got legally people, then we were 3/5 of the people. When we were 3/5 of the people, we was property. And so I think that privilege has a lot to do with perception. Like, I walked in DSW today and I just bought 4 pair of shoes. Why? Because I can. But when I was walking around with my 4 boxes, did a lot of people ask me, oh, did you need to put anything back? Do you want that? Yes. When they saw how I carried myself, they saw my bag, they saw that I wasn't tripping. Like, I'm asking you about designers and brands. They was like, oh, she might be spending money. Like, privilege has a lot to do with perception. Like, in the words of O.J. Simpson, I'm not black, I'm O.J. Like, you perceive that I have money, you perceive that I have wealth, you perceive that I have status. Right. And so some people, like, how people perceive you has a lot to do with the type of respect that they give you. So if you put your name on a bank slip that you identify as a white man, you are going to get the loan faster than if you put your race is black. When you apply to certain colleges or jobs with specific GPAs, they're going to weigh your race in to determine whether or not they feel like your experiences quantified by the color of your skin are going to add diversity or impact or character to their university or to their corporation. Like, there are lots of people with very urban or ethnic names that choose to go by a first initial and a middle name or a last name so that their job applications aren't looked over. Like, I got my nails done at a nail shop today, and the Chinese woman or Vietnamese woman who did my nails said her name was Diamond, and the white lady across me was like, oh, that's a good one to pick. It's easy to remember.
But had it been black, it'd been ghetto.
Well, not even that, bro. Like, that's not her name. Like, she picked something that was palatable for you so that you could be more comfortable with it. Like, that's the problem, that she feel like she can't tell you that her name is Shing Yu, but we are out here expected to pronounce Ansel Egret or Timothy Chalamet. Like, we have to change to be more palatable. And I think that that's that idea of privilege and perception. Like, first off,
should it be even across the board?
I mean, yes, because why I feel that way is because black women are dying. Black women are dying in medical professions at medical fields for different reasons, childbirth, heart attack, whatever, because doctors feel like, because if I walk into a doctor's office, I'm a black woman, I have a higher tolerance for pain and stress. So anything that I say is wrong with me, they don't have to treat it like it's wrong with me, because it's more than likely their shorthand is that it should be environmental, because I'm black, I eat fried chicken, I should have higher cholesterol. They don't run necessary tests, they don't give necessary treatment, they don't give necessary pain medication, because black women are in medical fields are perceived to have higher pain tolerance than other people.
And full of drama too.
Yeah, and they so they mistreat and misdiagnose black women. Beyonce, Serena Williams, like have both of them nearly died in childbirth last year because doctors were not listening to what they need. Like, but then on the other hand, you don't see that in other races. So what I'm saying is that if given the opportunity for people to not look at my skin color and prejudge me, yes, I do think it should be all the way equal. I don't think that Shanae should be treated any differently than Indra's, any differently than Anna's, any differently than anybody else because of their names. Like, I don't think that how you look at people should determine the character of that person. Like how they say, don't judge a book by its cover. You shouldn't judge people.
Read that book.
Read the book. Like, it might be good. You shouldn't judge people by their cover. And that's not to say that attraction shouldn't matter. Like, we should do things that are attractive to us, but we shouldn't discount things that we don't find attractive. Whether it's skin color, name, somebody's sexual orientation, what have you, we shouldn't discount it.
Got it. You got anything more, John?
I'm good, bro.
Stacey, you got anything more?
Don't be sensitive, man. Niggas don't live their life. Like, it ain't none of your business. Like, that's like, I feel like that's my takeaway from all of this. Like, unless me living my life actively interrupts how you live your life, like, then it's none of your business. Like, it's just really.
Is it okay? Do you think it's okay to ask questions though?
I do. I encourage people to ask questions of people they don't understand. But I encourage you to be respectful. Like, I travel the world. Like, I travel the world. And when I travel the world, I don't believe in resorts and staying in comfortable, safe places. Like, I try to stay in places where people are. And I want to immerse myself in that culture and learn as much as I can about the people, where they live, why they live, how they live. And the way that you do that is through ethnographic research, through asking people to tell you about themselves and to tell you about their process instead of making assumptions. Like, that's how you learn. That's how you become friends with people. That's how you build relationships. Now, if you walk up to somebody and be like, hey, yo, you fake man, woman, but like, don't be like that. But like, if you genuinely have a question, like, tell me about your process. Tell me
that's what this is, the process.
Yeah, tell me about your process. Tell me about how you decided that this was the identity that you wanted to live in. Because at the end of the day, that's how you make allies.
And my mind always works like that. Like, I always tell people I have 2 degrees in marketing, not to, you know what I'm saying, have a pat on the back, but marketing is the study of the human behavior. And I have a urge to just know, so I can study it to say, okay, now I understand. If I can understand it, I can say, okay, cool. Even if I don't understand it, I can kind of figure it out and kind of work with it. But if I don't raise that hand to ask that question, it's gonna be a one that's gonna eat me alive. That's just me. That might not be. But
no, it really is. Like, I don't operate without good information.
Yeah, I have, and then I live by the whole, in all things get understanding. So let me get an understanding, even if it's not a full understanding or I understand it completely. I be like, okay, I got an answer that I can work with and try to get more understanding from this and that, whatever I got to do. But anyway,
I'm still in the process, so.
Right. That's why this show is called The Process. We're all in the process of living. No matter if it's society issues, no matter if it's personal issues, no matter if it's just life issues in general. We're all in the process. So, family, we need you to like, comment. We need to know what your feelings about this situation in America. Not just in Morehouse, just in America. Just let us know. We want to be able to. I want to know how people think about it. Not to say it's going to be right or wrong, but I want to know, what do you say about it? I want to know. let's have a conversation. So like, comment, and subscribe. Those 3 things. Yo to the noobs. But as always, I want to salute the divinity in you, and we'll see you next time on The Process.
Let me see your hands up high if you know.